Man, PvP discourse is frustrating. I just really wish somebody would make an organized series of videos where they explore the different levels of skilled players and their opinions on the game so I could actually get a grasp on whatever the heck is going on here. Yeah, I just wish there was somebody with a YouTube channel and way too much free time on their hands to make that. Wait a minute. Yeah, so I've got a lot to think about. Diagnosing the disease that plagues PvP has been a difficult task to say the least. With every new skill bracket comes a new problem, only increasing the chaos of the perpetual PvP debate. It feels like nobody agrees on what's wrong, and combing through the hellfire of social media certainly doesn't help clear things up. There are some things that all players unanimously struggle with, regardless of skill bracket, issues that everybody agrees are bad. But in the aggressive, egocentric landscapes of Bird App and Karma Farm, it can be hard to discern them. However, after actually sitting down with different players from all over the ELO pyramid, I think I've started to see some patterns. Now, as we all know, Destiny 2 is doing something right now. I don't expect any of these issues to be patched or heck even addressed in the weeks to come. So as always, this is just my opinion and take it with a grain of salt. The first thing all of my subjects, experiments, guests unanimously said was a problem with the lack of new content. In the year 2023, we will be getting one new PvP map, 3 in total. 2 of them are maps we already had but just got deleted. Look, I know that Destiny 2 has a lot going on, but when a huge chunk of the players are PvP mains and they only get one new map in 365 days, no wonder they're upset. Imagine if we only got one new dungeon per year, people would go ballistic. There's absolutely no universe where making a dungeon or raid is harder than making a PvP map, so point blank that has to change if anything is going to get better. The only thing worse than bad content being added is content not being added at all, and that's probably the biggest pain point of the PvP community. It's also contributing to that feeling of having the same 4 or 5 games over and over because there aren't that many maps to choose from. This makes the grind feel samey and redundant, which basically causes a sort of death by sandpaper. Another factor that led to PvP burnout is game balance. Ironically, overall balance is not the worst thing in the world though. Sure, there are many problems with balance, but we're really close to the PvP meta actually being good. The issue arises when every time it feels like we get to a place where the meta might be good, Bungie adds something like Immortal that completely screws everything up. It's those outliers that make the game hard to play, like Le Monarch or, Immortal. Everything else is usually in line, but until Bungie quits adding absurdly broken weapons or buffing/nerfing things that don't need it, this is going to keep happening. Even though the balance is really close to being good and we're really close to that meta that everybody likes, it's just bad enough to be infuriating. If the lack of new content is what's causing the boredom, this is what's causing the frustration. I don't think anybody wakes up in the morning and says, man, I can't wait to play the Immortal meta today. One of the last nails in the coffin is dev support. While it feels bad on the PvE side to communicate to devs, the PvP players are even worse off. Bungie almost never communicates what's going on behind the scenes anymore, and the lack of answers is getting really annoying for the community. Anything needs to be addressed, but that just doesn't happen. The lack of leveling with the player base sprinkles a little bit of hopelessness on top of this pile of awful dino dung, so nobody feels like anything's gonna get better. All of this culminates into one big feeling, and the big problem with Destiny 2 PvP, what I was feeling in the first place but I couldn't put my finger on. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Whenever something improves, something somewhere else goes wrong. It's like a spidey sense. Whenever I see a good change in the twid or something else, I just expect to get chokeslammed by a broken weapon or a server crash 2 days later. It's become a Pavlovian response. Instead of progress like Bungie promised so long ago and a renewed PvP focus, we're regressing, moving closer and closer to those awful days of vanilla D2. And it doesn't help that the gameplay also reflects this. Nobody likes it. Nobody's having fun. But what can we do to fix this? Well, we can't do anything. We're just players. What can Bungie do to fix this? The answer is pretty obvious, I think. Actually renew their focus on PvP. Look, nobody likes being left in the dirt, and when a huge chunk of the player base receives little to no content, frustration is justified. Even back in the very first episode, before I had done any research or anything, I wasn't having fun with PvP. Some people suggest that, oh, it's just the sweats online who complain, and it's all in your head. No, I'm the opposite of a sweat, and I was still frustrated. This problem is endemic. It's not a wound we can slap a band-aid on and call it a day. Bungie has to actually commit to making new PvP content. And look, things are actually getting better. We're on the up and up, kind of. We are getting new maps, for real this time, even if a lot of them are old, and they're trying to fix things. These changes take time, I get it, but this is where we come back around to dev support. If you're working on something, let us know. The big factor contributing to that 1 step forward, 2 steps back is that I think we're going 2 steps back. If you're working towards something and we're actually going forward, but I just don't know it yet, then how am I supposed to feel good about this game? It's what kept Overwatch 1 alive when the game was receiving no content. It was that hope, that light at the end of the tunnel that maybe the studio hasn't forgotten about us. I think getting to the bottom of these issues, at least for my sake, helps us better rationalize and understand why I'm feeling angry when I click that red Crucible button. I wish I could just take all the people I interviewed in the whole community and fix all of their problems, and PvP would feel great with no caveats. But that's not how the real world works. Who knows where Bungie's at in terms of fixing these issues? Hopefully, we're getting close to something good. But I'm no expert. I'm just a low-tier player with a YouTube channel after all. Until we get some sort of message or some sort of communication or some sort of update, we're still left in the dark. And Crucible still does not feel good to play. That's just the long and short of it. All of this series, just to come back around to Crucible, doesn't feel good because it doesn't feel good, and we haven't been told otherwise. So, that's all for me from now. Thank you all for watching this whole series. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Next week, I'll be out of town, and then the weekend after that, so content will probably slow down for a couple of weeks. I'll try to schedule a couple of short vids, though. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!
Your time is up.